myself is Dr. Sanjit Kumar Sai. I will be teaching you the subject basic electronics. I have already taken 2 classes of basic electronics of chapter 1. In the first class I have already told you electron emission. In the second class I have told you what is a conductor, what is a semiconductor and what is insulator and how a semiconductor can be formed. I have already studied the different types of semiconductor material, that is silicon and germanium can be used as a semiconductor material. There are 2 types of semiconductor I have already discussed. One is called N-type semiconductor, one is called P-type semiconductor. Those are called impure semiconductor. And second one is called pure semiconductor. So the pure semiconductor can be formed by either silicon or germanium, whereas the impure semiconductors can be formed by adding some impurities to the pure semiconductor. In that respect, we can make either N-type semiconductor or a P-type semiconductor. I have already explained you how to make N-type semiconductor and how to make a P-type semiconductor. In a N-type semiconductor, the majority carries electrons and the minority carries holes. In the P-type semiconductor, the majority carries holes and the minority carries equal to electrons. So if we compare the pure semiconductor with impure, the conductivity of the impure semiconductor is more as compared to pure semiconductor, because in this case we are adding some doping element or impure so that increase the conductivity. So in outset I can say that if we compare the semiconductor is a control conductor, means in a semiconductor you can increase the conductivity or decrease the conductivity and depending upon the doping. But those facilities are not available in case of a conductor or an insulator. Insulator never conduct. I already told examples. But conductor always conduct with a high current. We cannot have any control of the current in the conductivity of the conductor. But in semiconductor we can control the flow of current. So for which, depend upon the applications, we can able to use semiconductor in different applications, electronic application, in the diode, in the transistors, in the TV, in the mobile phone. So today class I am going to discuss furthermore on N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductor, or that intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, so coming to today's class, I am going to discuss the basic idea about intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor, basic idea about vacuum tubes and semiconductor, or the difference between intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor, and the difference between vacuum tube and the semiconductor and other applications. Okay, so now if I will tell what is a semiconductor, that I have already told last class. So today further I can tell what is the intrinsic semiconductor and what is the extrinsic semiconductor. So I have already told you in my second class the 2 types of semiconductor. One is called your pure, one is called your pure semiconductor, one is called the impure. So what is pure semiconductor? Pure semiconductor also called, and the name suggests, intrinsic semiconductor. And what is impure semiconductor? Those are called your extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductor, okay? This is intrinsic semiconductor. Now, this pure semiconductor I have already told you in the previous class can be made from either silicon or germanium. If question comes, give the examples of pure semiconductor, that is silicon and germanium having valence equal to 4. Silicon and germanium have valence 4, so they can use as a pure semiconductor. Now, if I come to extrinsic semiconductor, they can be formed from either silicon or germanium plus some impurity from impurity material. Okay, so these I have already explained. So one is called pure semiconductor, one is called impure semiconductor. Pure is called intrinsic semiconductor, impure is called extrinsic semiconductor. The pure can be made from either silicon or germanium having valence 4. The impure can be made either silicon or germanium plus impurity materials. Again, depend upon impurity materials, I have already told you the 2 types. One is called your N-type, one is called your P-type. Okay, so if we further classify the extrinsic semiconductor, two types. One is called your N-type semiconductor, one is called your P-type. So extrinsic semiconductor are two types. One is called your N-type, second is called your P-type. I already told you how the N-type can be formed. I already told you in N-type semiconductor we have to add what? The pentavalent compounds. If we add the pentavalent, then we can have the N-type materials, and if we add the trivalent materials, then we can make it P-type. So what is pentavalent? Having valency 5. Valence equal to 5. But trivalent, valence equal to what? 3. So these are already told in the previous class. So if adding a pentavalent compound to a pure semiconductor, we can make N-type semiconductor. And if adding a trivalent materials to a P-type semiconductor, that is called what? It's called to a intrinsic semiconductor, we can make a P-type semiconductor. Now, what example of trivalent compounds? I already told you boron, aluminum, indium have valence equal to 3. Phosphorus, antimony, arsenic having valence 5 is going to tell me impure semiconductor. And these are already explained last class. Suppose I have already told you, suppose I have a silicon material. If I have only silicon, this is called a pure. But in this silicon, if I am adding a valence 5, suppose phosphorus, adding more phosphorus. So if I am taking only silicon, this is called what? Pure. Valence 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is called silicon of pure semiconductor. In this case, if what contains only silicon, if you find out, they have the octet because they are sharing the electrons in our ring, so of the octet. The sheet. This I already explained like this. This is called a pure semiconductor, and this whole silicon is completely neutral. In this case, you do not have any free electrons at 0 degree Kelvin. And if you want the break, then one electron will be free, and that electron will go to the conduction band and will create a hole in the valency band. That means breaking of one bond will give one hole and one electron. Breaking of two bonds will give two hole, two electrons. So breaking of n bonds will give what? N number of electrons and n numbers of holes. So in a intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor can be made from either silicon or germanium. Actually at 0 degree Kelvin we do not have any free carriers, but if we increase the temperature or if we apply the external electric field, if one bond breaks, it will give one electrons and one hole. If two bond breaks, two electrons and two holes. Clear? That means if 50 bond breaks, it will give me 50 holes and 50 electrons. So I can say that in an intrinsic semiconductor, I have already explained the number of holes equal number of electrons equal to Ni. So number of electrons equal number of holes equal to Ni. This is called intrinsic concentrations. Or I can write down Np equal to Ni square, and this is called your mass action law. Clear? So in a pure semiconductor can be made from either silicon or germanium. In this case, if we break the bond, we are getting the carriers. Because of the carriers, you can get the current. So depending on the number of bond breaks, you can get same number of electrons and same number of holes. If 20 bond breaks, 20 holes, 20 electrons. If that's why I have told you, in this case number of electrons equal number of holes equal to Ni, or Np equal to Ni square, that is called mass action law. Clear? Now coming to extrinsic semiconductor or impure, in this case in place of silicon, or I can add and pentavalent valence if I have only phosphorus. So I have told you phosphorus valence equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, silicon 4. Clear? Like this they will make the bond. Look at me. So if I am adding one phosphorus, because phosphorus valence equal to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at 0 degree Kelvin, just see this particular electron is free. This is equal to free. This I already explained you. This is equal to free. Now, if I am adding 20 number of phosphorus, then I can get 20 free electrons. Hence, I can say that if I am adding 5 phosphorus, then I can get 5 electrons at 0 degree Kelvin. Clear? But in the previous case, I do not have any free electrons. That means by adding the pentavalent compound by adding phosphorus. Here the phosphorus is called impurity atoms. So because of addition of phosphorus, I am getting extra numbers of carrier at 0 degree Kelvin. Clear? Now, if I am adding 5 phosphorus, I am getting 5 extra electrons. Apart from that, if this bond breaks, then I can get 3 electrons and 3 holes. Total, you can say it has 8 electrons and 3 holes. This I already explained. 8 electrons and 3 holes. Hence, see the number of electrons are more. This is called N-type semiconductor. This is also a semiconductor. That in this case, electrons are called majority carrier, holes are called minority carrier. In the previous case, I have told you number of electrons equal number of holes. But in this case, because of addition of impurity materials, that is phosphorus or arsenic or antimony, having the valence equal to 5, out of 5, 4 taking part in the what? Bonding. This one is remaining extra. Bonding means what? 8 octet. Having the octet 2, 8, 18 octet. So this extra is, this one is free. So if I am adding the 5 phosphorus, I am getting 5 extra electron at the room temperature. Apart from that, if you increase the temperature, if the bond breaks, suppose I am getting 3 electrons and 3 holes. In total, 8 electrons and 3 holes. This is an example. So here the number of electrons are more than number of holes. Hence, this is N-type semiconductor. Clear? Similarly, I already told you, if I am adding a boron, valence number 3. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 means this is not octet. This is free or this is vacant. So if I am adding the boron, since silicon having what? 4 electrons, but boron having electrons 1, 2, 3. So this is very empty. So I can say that because it is empty, I am getting a 1 free hole. Clear? In the previous case, I am getting what? 1 extra electron by adding 1 phosphorus. But in this case, if I am adding boron, I am getting 1 free hole. So that means if I am adding 5 numbers of boron, I can get 5 free holes. 5 free holes at 0 degree Kelvin. Similarly, if this bond breaks, 1, 2, 3, bond breaks, I can get 3 electrons. I can get 3 electrons and 3 holes. So in total, it has 8 holes and 3 electrons. Hence, in this case, if you are adding a trivalent materials, okay, to a germanium and silicon, we are getting extra holes, because of which, in this case, the number of holes are greater than number of electrons. Hence, I can say that in this case, hole is the majority carrier and electron is the magnetic carrier. That's the name is p-type. Clear? So I have told you already, one is called pure semiconductor, one is called impure semiconductor. This is very, very important. Pure is called intrinsic, impure is called extrinsic. The extrinsic are made from pure plus the doping element. And what is doping? Addition of impurity materials to a pure semiconductor to increase the conductivity is called the doping. Again I am telling, addition of impurity materials to a pure semiconductor, for example trivalent or pentavalent, to change the conductivity of the semiconductor is called the doping. And because of this, there are 2 types, N-type and P-type. Clear? So this is the basic idea about intrinsic semiconductor and the extrinsic semiconductor. And if you go to the difference, I already told you, in case of intrinsic, the density of electrons equal to density of holes. That means I already told you, in case of intrinsic, number of electrons equal number of holes, that N equal to P. In case of extrinsic, electron is not equal to density of holes. That means I have told you, in extrinsic, the number of holes not equal number of electrons. If it is N-type, number of electrons more than number of holes. If it is P-type, number of holes greater number of electrons. Clear? Conductivity. In case of intrinsic, the conductivity is very low. Why? Because at 0 degree temperature, we do not have any free carriers. But in extrinsic, the conductivity is high or more as compared to what? Intrinsic. Because I already told you, in extrinsic, since adding the doping element or impurity, so you are getting some free holes or free electrons at 0 degree Kelvin, because of which the electrical conductivity in case of intrinsic semiconductor is low. The electrical conductivity in case of extrinsic is high, because I already explained you. In case of intrinsic semiconductor at 0 degree Kelvin, they are not getting any free carriers. If we have to break the bond to get the electrons and holes. But in case of stressing, because of addition of what? Impurity, that is either pentavalent or trivalent, as I already explained, we are getting some extra carriers at 0 degree Kelvin, because of which this conductivity is more as compared to this. Next, temperature effect. So both intrinsic and extrinsic depend upon the temperature. But look at me. In intrinsic depends on the temperature. If you increase the temperature, the number of bonds will break. You can able to get what? More carriers. That means you increase the temperature. In place of 5, the 10 bonds may break. Because of 10 bonds, you are getting 10 number of electrons, 10 numbers of holes. But in case of extrinsic, it depends both on temperature as well as impurity. Because if adding more number of impurities, we can get more number of electrons or more number of holes, depend upon addition of pentavalent or trivalent apart from temperature. So extrinsic depends upon both temperature and impurity. Intrinsic only depends on the temperature. Next, in case of intrinsic, you do not have any impurities, because intrinsic or pure are only made from what? Either silicon or germanium. Both silicon and germanium are called pure semiconductor. But extrinsic means what? We are adding some impurity, either trivalent or pentavalent, to the what? Pure semiconductor. Clear? So these are the basic difference between intrinsic and extrinsic, and a very very important question from exam point of view. So be clear about all these things. Okay. Next, coming to another concept is the vacuum tube and semiconductor. So I have told the semiconductor size is very small, and before coming to semiconductor coming into picture, we have vacuum tube. So the vacuum tube also can conduct. So that means vacuum tube and semiconductor, if we compare, the semiconductor has added advantage as compared to vacuum tube. So both can conduct. If we look at me, the semiconductor is very small in size, light in weight. Whereas vacuum tube are small in size, are big in size, light in weight. So there is some mistake here. So vacuum tube are actually big in size and more weight. Okay, but semiconductor are small in size and light weight. So I have told you what is conductor, what is semiconductor, what is insulator. So another concept here we have given here. One is called what will be vacuum tube. So vacuum tube is a last conductor like this. Okay, a tube is there, and here you have a cathode, and you have what you have anode, or which will capture the electron. That means this area, this total area is free of carriers. Again I am telling, this total area is free of what? Carriers. That means this is a cathode who will emit the electrons, and this will capture the electrons. Getting? Now whenever the electrons are going from cathode to anodes, once they reach from cathode to anodes, we will get that what? Current. Getting or not? But you have to take care that whenever the electrons are going from cathode to anode, this total area or this total surface between the glass tube must be vacuum. There should not be any charged particle. Again I am telling, this total area inside which the carrier moves must be free of carriers, totally vacuum. But sometimes what happens, if some other elements or other atoms present inside this, or some other charged particles present inside this one, so they may capture these electrons. That is called ionizations. Again I am telling, in vacuum tube we have a tube of very big in size. This is cathode, this is anode. So when the electrons emitted from cathode, they are captured at the anode side, and we have to take care that the inside of this total glass tube must be free of carriers. Otherwise, what happens? Some of the electrons may be captured because of the other charged particles. So you have to take 100% care so that there should not be any other charged particle inside the vacuum tube. Otherwise, what happens? The conductivity will decrease. Now, previously, before the semiconductor come into picture, we have the vacuum tube. Okay, so this is small in semiconductor is small in size, light in weight. Vacuum tube is big in size and light weight. They have longer life, they have less life. They are easy operations, they have complex operations. Semiconductor does not occur in filament, but in case of vacuum tube we have a filament. This filament we have heat. Once you heat this filament, then will what? It will emit the electrons. Semiconductors are very small in size, that's why they require less power and less heat. But vacuum tube, they require more power and more heat is required. Semiconductors are very less sensitive to heat, but vacuum tubes are not heat sensitivity. semiconductor handle very small amount of current in terms of milliampere and microampere, but vacuum tube, but they handle the high amount of current in terms of also milliampere, or they can go to ampere. And semiconductors have low inverse voltage and more rust, and vacuum tube having high inverse voltage and more fragile. So what is inverse voltage? That means I will be telling you in the next chapter. We'll read that what is inverse voltage or forward voltage or reverse voltage. So what is inverse voltage is also called reverse voltage. Suppose you have a semiconductor, how much voltage you can apply to the semiconductor without breakdown? How much voltage you can apply to a semiconductor in reverse bias? How much voltage you can apply to a semiconductor in reverse bias so that it can withstand the voltage before breakdown is called inverse voltage. So that voltage is very low in case of semiconductor, and but in case of vacuum tube it is very large. So in general you have to only remember what is a vacuum tube and what is semiconductor. So semiconductor is small in size, vacuum are big in size. A semiconductor longer life, they have lesser life. Semiconductor easy operations, vacuum tube is complex operations. Semiconductor no filament, vacuum tube is required filament. Semiconductor consume less power, vacuum tube consume more power. Semiconductor less sensitive to heat, vacuum tube more sensitive to heat. So these are the differences you need to remember, and this is very important question from exam point of view. So coming to the next, so difference between intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic is called pure semiconductor, extrinsic is called impure semiconductor. Difference between vacuum tube and semiconductor, and what is impurity. I will tell you what is impurity. Now addition of doping element, doping is also called impurity, or addition of a dopant element to a pure semiconductor to increase the conductivity is called impurity. And what are impurity atoms? Pentavalent and trivalent. Pentavalent is added to make N-type semiconductor, and trivalent is added to make the P-type semiconductor. Example of N-type, phosphorus, antimony, arsenic. Example of P-type, boron, aluminum, indium. Okay. So thank you very much for today's class.